talking on the issue of this firefighting scandal. But I will tell you, too, the mayor said he will come on. And I give the mayor credit. He did come up to me. We spoke yesterday at the press conference. He did look like he was going to take me out at one point, but it ended well. He's a good athlete, that mayor. Yeah, he probably could take me out.
I loved at the press conference. No notes. He just tore them all up.
Yeah.
Spoke from the heart.
Anyway, but he said, I'll come on. I will come on. So certainly it's whatever Corporation Counsel is advising. But reach out, so maybe he'll come on tomorrow. Maybe it'll be next week. And I do agree he probably has legal issues. There's only so much he can say. Okay, so here's Rob saying firefighter Fort's opening statement in his Article 75 hearing after the criminal charges over the damaged pants, if you will be this story and how this was tolerated by senior staff and punishable to firefighters. So senior staff got to do all of these weird things. Firefighters get arrested for it. I mean, how does he not use this story? And by the way, something interesting too on the issue. Remember that a few weeks ago was the story where the firefighter allegedly relieved himself sexually on a firefighter's pants, a female firefighter's pants. Here's something.
Well, she wasn't wearing them. To be
here's
clear.
Something that's different about the two. He gets arrested, his name trampled through the media, and he did something. While certainly, and I'm saying he did it, we don't know that. Let's say he did it. Even though his DNA comes back, let's say the DNA comes back that it was his, it still doesn't prove that he did that. I'm just saying, you still have to prove it. But let's say that the Fort guy did it. This happened in a room with no one in it. As disgusting as it may be, it happened in a room with nobody in it. Terrible. Let's say he did it. Compared to, let's say, the acting fire chief did this. This is in the deputy chief's quarters with young guys and young women in the room. They're watching porn and they're all doing sexual things. Weigh the two. This was being done with someone there. And there's the whole story about a senior officer within the fire department, an older guy, somebody the younger guy looked up to. He wants to be a firefighter, has wanted to be a firefighter since he's been 3 years old, so we're told. So there's a Cub Scout leader, Cub Scout relationship going on, or a priest, young altar boy relationship going on. A deputy chief and a recruit, a young recruit. You can't ignore that, because if that was and I had somebody say to me yesterday, listen, if that was my son, he'd have punched him out. You have no idea. You do not know that. You don't know how a 23-year-old mind reacts when placed in a position like that. And let's just say, as long as we're being hypothetical, let's just say it really did happen. And the kid was okay with it all the way. The kid was all right with it. Totally all right with it. As taxpayers and as city officials, are you okay with this crap going on city property? It is a lawsuit waiting to happen. And this just might be one of them, by the way. So we were saying, equate it to your own job. All right, here at the radio station. Andrew is a young cub. He's just, he's 23 years old, and he wants to be in radio. He's always wanted to be in radio. So so what happens then? You friend yourself with maybe the chief manager here at the radio station. And the chief manager you guys are, as time goes on, things get a little frisky. And you come into one of the radio studios and you start watching porn, and then somebody catches you. What would happen to the manager in that position? And then he doesn't get the job. What do you think he's going to do? He's going to report to corporate that he didn't get the job for some reason, and it was because of the sexual antics that were going on.
I wonder,
Sorry to my boss for bringing that hypothetical in there.
I wonder if, what are they, civil service? Are they civil service?
Yeah.
I wonder if there is some restriction on discipline, that it has to be X, Y, or Z, and this doesn't necessarily
Has to
fall
be criminal. Well, then how do you explain the Fort story?
Well, and has anything happened to him yet, though? He's still on
Other
the
than
department.
he's on paid administrative leave, and he's been through several court hearings. He was forced by law to give a sample of his DNA, and they're trying to. Has he been charged at this point? But here's the thing: when all that was going on, he wasn't charged with a crime. The DA's office told us here in the studio he was not charged with a crime.
Right, but they were trying to compel him to. They were trying to determine who had, whose sample that was, I guess. So I do understand.
How does that happen? And then we're going to protect his. The difference is he's just a firefighter, and this is the fire chief. It's unbelievable how this has been handled. It's unbelievable that it's gone on, but how it's been handled.
I know that in some workplaces, it's okay for people in a relationship to be working together.
My wife was my producer. I'm 9 years older than her. I guess you could, but we had a consensual relationship, and we didn't tell anybody about it.
So again,
and we didn't do anything in the studio. We didn't tell a soul about it. It was kept very, very quiet. And then I went to management and said, "Hey, we're together." And within a year, we were married, and we've been married for 19 years. It's a completely different story. My wife was 26 years old.
I'm saying, like, the chief of a.
Oh, I thought you were criticizing the fact that.
No, gosh, no. I'm just saying that in some workplaces there are couples that are married. They work together. But this is the chief and a recruit having allegedly having some sort of relationship.
I think this is important. What any two adults consensually do is fine. I guess it's the violation here. I don't want to say violation. The misconduct is his status versus the status of the younger person.
Which is my point.
And the
That's
fact
number one.
that it's going on in a city taxpayer firehouse.
Correct.
On city taxpayer
so if
time.
Regardless of who the person is, as long as they're of age, what gender they might be, if this is going on in someone's house.
I think gender's playing a big role in the way people are reacting to this because it's a guy. It's a 23-year-old guy. Again, if that was a 23-year-old girl, we would be up in arms. And even more than people are today. There is a double standard. But I'm sorry, and I was talking to my wife about this last night. Kids today, especially, and maybe kids are different today. But a 20-year-old mind, a 23-year-old mind, a 24-year-old mind. Now, while there are some that are extremely responsible and man, they're just go-getters and they're out and they're on their own, the average 23, 24-year-old is still living with his parents, her parents, his parents. They're still in some sort of college education atmosphere. They're still on their parents' insurance, by the way. Mm-hmm. Chances are the parents are still paying for their cell phone. We have created a younger, the mind doesn't, and even any 23, 24-year-old. How many times do you look back 20 years later on your life at 23 and you're like, man, did I make some decisions? I just didn't know better. Your mind you're far more impressionable at the age of 23 than you are at the age of 43. So that is worth, I know we cut it off 18. Hey, he's over 18. So, there's nothing criminal. But inappropriate, whatever happened to the word inappropriate being an important word? Sue in Utica, good morning.
Good morning. Thoroughly disgusted about what's going on. I'm a taxpayer in the city. And unfortunately, Mr. Kelly's a family man. This is going to rule, if this, allegation.
If it's true. Mm-hmm.
It's going to affect a lot of people, and it also affects the young man. But I'm just want to say that we have a district attorney who's going after a customer at Denny's for tapping a waitress on the tushy.
Boy, I never even put those two together, but you're absolutely right.
That's a sexual assault. But because this is a young man and this is going on, and plus he was thinking that he was going to make it in the Utica Fire Department.
Yeah.
There is no, to our knowledge, there's not an allegation, though, that that he touched him or made him do something?
No.
Right?
Although I have been told some things that everything I've had, I've been able to verify through what I believe. It was one thing when we had, Sue, a copy, and it looked like copy and paste of text messages. Well, anybody could do that. You could put them in any order you want. You could change names around. You could edit them. You could Photoshop it. But but what I have
whatever.
But what I have right here is I have an export from. I'm very sure, based on our sources, I have an export from this kid's phone. So that's why we decided to say, and because of the fact that this is the chief of the fire department right now, that it is important for us to use this person's name. And I feel bad.
Not only that, they cover. I mean, with the Fort fire.
With that mess, yep.
He was crucified on a TV station before any charges were put. I give credit to UTR because they said nothing about this until the gentleman appeared in court.
Well, and you know, I don't know if you know, but we certainly talked about the fact that how do you say he's charged with a deviant sexual act when he hadn't even been charged with any crime? And, oh, by the way, what was done does not meet the standards of a deviant sexual act.
And we'd had Utica police officials and the district attorney on to say that.
I also find it interesting, Sue, that case was immediately referred to the DA's office, whereas this case went to UPD with the sole purpose of, is this criminal? And to me, that is this is being treated. The Fort case is being treated much differently than this case.
I totally. Go ahead.
I think we all are aware of situations in the workplace where the little guy on the totem pole is going to be taken to court or tasked before anybody of the higher ups where have the clipboards and suits. Let's put it that way. It takes a while for them to. You know what I'm saying? But it's unfortunate that this is happening and this is going on in the city. What a smear on our city, on a fire department that as a whole
is an awesome fire department.
Where would we be without them?
No doubt.
But for the top brass to be behaving this way, shame on them.
All right, Sue, thank you. Thank you, Sue. We appreciate it. Taxpayer.
I do see some similarities in the cases, but there is one difference, and I think it's important. You have somebody, this case here is consensual. The previous case involved someone's clothing.
That's not what our sources are saying. They're saying it was consensual because the kid wanted a job. He was going to do it. And you imagine, you've got one of the 4 deputy chiefs that has befriended you, and you want nothing more than becoming a fire department in the city of Utica. Again, take this to the young female who wants to be an actress in Harvey Weinstein's movie. I'm sorry, there's a comparison there. And to me, that is as bad of an act as going in and tainting someone's fire pants. I think they're both horrible. Using your power to impose your alleged deviant sexual desires, and using the fact that this kid wanted to be a firefighter to get off. I find that to be just as disgusting.
2 things quickly. I think in the
if true.
Previous case, you had someone come forward and file a complaint. I wonder if the younger person in this case had went to the DA's office and said, here's what happened.
Well,
here was the position I was in.
Did she go to the DA's office? Or, because I got to tell you, the family went to the mayor's office here, and they filed this complaint, said something should be done about this. And instead of it going to the DA's office, which could have formed a grand jury, which could have done, and if the DA wants to indict you, there's a good chance you're probably going to be indicted.
But for what crime, though? That's what I'm saying.
But the whole point here is not if a crime was committed or not, because there wasn't. It's the inappropriateness of this fire official with a recruit. I think that's if it's true, the issue is not the criminality of it. It's inappropriate in nature for a fire chief to be having this sort of relationship with a recruit.
I think I was drifting off the path a little. This case is not involved.
Let's not get into the criminality here because there really is none.
Right.
But if all true, there's a disgusting element to this.